I need to meet someone, or I need to read messages and things like that. So just be aware we are recording this video so that we can share with other young people out there who need this information. And we'll be sharing this on our social media. So if you need to rewatch to remind yourself something, just ask for the link and we'll send it to you. So I'll share my screen so that we can see the outline for this session, what we'll be doing. Sorry. Sorry about that. As I said, we'll have this meeting for the next 1.5 hours, and we hope to keep time. The first thing we're going to do is an icebreaker activity, and then we'll have introductions for the Jimin team members who are on the call, so that you're just aware who we are talking to, who you're interacting with. And then we'll have Richie lead us in a session about Jimin. Then we'll have an interactive session where we'll talk about COVID-19 and some of the ideas that you young people have on how you can contribute positively in your communities. Then we'll have a presentation again from Richie on SDGs and what we are doing at Jimin in terms of the In Challenge program and what we are doing to incorporate solutions that favor the SDGs. And then we'll have an open discussion just to discuss what we have presented and see, like, hear from you ideas that you have and what you've been doing during this time. Then we'll have a final session on questions and answers. Some of you, when you are signing up, you had some questions about Jimin. We'll be answering those questions, and then we'll also open it up for anyone who has questions about this session. So I'll welcome Aaron, who will lead us in the icebreaker activity before we go to introductions. Aaron, you can go ahead. I'll just keep sharing my screen for the presentations. Aaron? Aaron, I can't hear you. Guys, can you just someone confirm if you can hear me so that I know if I have a problem with some. You can hear? Okay.
Brenda, we can hear you.
Yeah.
All right. It seems like I can't hear Aaron. Okay, I'll go ahead and lead this activity. So on the screen, you can see some 9 dots, and the activity, I know for if you're an alumni of In Challenge or In Lab and you've done this activity, you can just do it again. But then when it comes to sharing, I'd want to hear from people who've never done this activity before first. So you can see there's 9 dots, and the task is for you to join all the dots using only 4 straight lines and making sure that this line it's continuous. That means you don't lift your pen or pencil from your book. So make sure you have like a pen and paper. If you don't have, we'll give you a minute to get one. Again, I'll repeat the instructions. Join all the dots using only 4 lines, 4 straight lines that are continuous, meaning you don't lift your pen or pencil from your paper, and make sure you connect all the dots. We'll give you 3 minutes to do the activity. So grab a piece of paper and a pen or pencil and complete the activity. After that, we'll have a minute to see what people have, solutions that people have come up with. So the 3 minutes start now. I'll time us. you have any questions, you can type them in the chat and we'll respond. We have a few seconds left, so let's just finish up before we share. Stop sharing my screen so that I can see the videos of people presenting their solutions. Our time is up. So again, if you're an alumni and you've already done this activity, I know I do it, I forget it a lot of times. So it would also be nice to hear who forgot the solution and before we share the solution. So any volunteer who wants to share, if you think you have the correct solution, go ahead and just raise your hand, we'll unmute you. If you want to raise your hand, just on your screen, I think on your right side, you should see an option for raise hand, bottom right. Any volunteers who want to share? Or you can just unmute yourself and go ahead. So you'll have to put on your video so that we see you. Any volunteers who have the solution? Okay, if you guys don't volunteer, I'll just choose someone randomly to see what you did. Okay, since no one is volunteering, could we have any Jimin alumni who thinks they remember the solution to share with us? You can go ahead and mute yourself and share. Anyone? I can see you guys. I can see you, Jerevas. I can see, who else? Salome. I can see Doreen, Kate, Jimmy. Any of you? I can see Miriam raising her hand. So Miriam, you can switch on your video and show the solution. And feel free to speak and explain. Miriam?
It's this one.
Okay, I can see. Can you just explain so that people who didn't get it can understand how you achieved that?
Okay, because you said 4 lines, I started by, I remember last time something like a triangle, so I decided to draw a triangle going like this, then the last person in the middle.
Okay. Anyone else? It looks all right. Okay, I'll share the screen. Because of time, I think people are shying off from sharing their solutions. Remember, Jimin, we don't have any wrong or right answers. It's just learn as you do something. So I'll share the screen for us to see how they achieve that solution. Okay. Sorry guys, I'm just having trouble with my machine. So this is a small animation that shows how you can draw the 4 lines. So remember we just said 4 straight lines joining all the dots, but I didn't say in any particular, like it doesn't have to be a square or in any particular shape. So the idea for this activity is just to get you to think outside the box. So when you're given a challenge, when you're facing a challenge, how do you approach it? So making sure that you are thinking of all possible approaches that you can take to come up with a solution. So this is the solution to that puzzle. So Wango, is Aaron back online to continue with the introduction?
No.
Okay, Aaron, you can go ahead. Aaron?
Aaron, I think you maybe have to get off the call and join in, and make sure you join in with your microphone on. We can't hear you.
Okay, as he tries to fix his microphone, I'll continue. So on the call, we have the In Challenge team. We have 3 of us, Richard, myself, and Aaron. And each one of us will introduce ourselves, just say our name, what we do at Jimin, and if we were a city, which city we would be and why. And now I'll stop sharing the screen so that you can clearly see the video of the people who are speaking. And we also have other team members. We have Wango on the team. She's not part of In Challenge, but she's from our other program called the Innovation Lab. So she'll also do the introduction. Sorry, Wango, I didn't put up your photo, but I hope you'll put on your video so people can see you. Brenda Nyakoa, I am the program associate for the In Challenge program. I joined Jimin in 2017 in March. So you can count how many years those have been. It's been really interesting working with young people. My background is in electrical engineering. I graduated from UON, the University of Nairobi, in 2015. At Jimin, most of the time I work with Richie to make sure we design, evaluate, and implement the In Challenge program, which is the innovation competition for high school youth, and not necessarily people who are in high school, but just aged between 13 and 20. So we design the workshops and make sure that we equip you people with the skills that you need for this 21st century economy. If I were a city, I'd be London, because I hear London is gold, and I love cold weather. I'm more functional when I'm in cold weather, so I think I'll just want to be something that I love. And also in future, I hope to travel to London. So yeah, I'd be London. I think Richie, you can go next. Then we'll have Wongo and Aaron if he's back.
Hello, everyone. My name is Richard Biko. I mostly go by Richie, and I'm the program manager for the Innovation Challenge here in Kenya. I joined Jimin back in 2013. It actually started off as a volunteer right out of university. And then in 2015, I got offered the position of a manager role. So what else should I share? Oh, my background is in justice, peace, and conflict studies. To narrow it down, like I'm really interested in peace and community development, and Jimin provides me an opportunity to really practice what I studied, and it's been a great seven plus years with Jimin. If I was a city, I didn't expect this question, but there's, maybe I'll say like a place where I want to visit. I want to visit Japan, and I think is the capital Tokyo. The reason for that is because I love anime. Anime, I think Japanese cartoons, but I don't think that's the right definition for it. But yeah, I would like to visit Japan, so my city would be Tokyo.
Okay. Wango, you're next.
Okay, hi guys. My name is Wango Okaisu. I'm a program associate with the Innovation Lab. So Innovation Lab is a program that introduces design thinking and engineering concepts to youth, mostly in Dagoretti. Actually, I haven't seen any in-lab alum. Oh yeah, Miriam Nabure is one of our students. Karibu, nice to see you. I'm really grateful. Thank you for the invitation to join you guys. I'm really looking forward to the conversations that we'll have for the next 1 hour or so. And if I was a city, actually, I would rather be a town. I would like to be Tororo town. That town is so peaceful. It's so beautiful. It has the best sunsets I have ever seen. Like, it's just an amazing town. Yeah.
Okay, thank you. I agree with that. Tororo is beautiful, and Tororo Hill, very steep. Is Aaron back? Aaron, are you able to speak? If you're using, maybe if you're using earphones, could you just try unplugging them? Because I can see your audio is on, but we can't hear you. Maybe try unplugging your earphones or headphones if you're using them. In the meantime, you can type your introduction in the chat and people can read and see who you are, what you do at Jimin, and if you are a city or town, which one you'd be, or you can go Richie's, with Richie's approach on which town or city you want to visit. Okay, I think we'll get back to our introductions, to our presentation, and I'll invite Richie to continue.
Yeah. Thank you, Brenda. Yeah. If you can help me with the slides, I'll just let you know when you can switch. So thank you.
Okay.
Yeah. Hello, everyone. Thank you again for all of you for joining the call. So I'd like just to introduce Jimin, a bit about our programs, and then I'll talk about a bit of SDGs and like the plans we have during this pandemic in our programs. So Global Minimum, or in short, Jimin, is a youth-focused organization that is committed to providing opportunities to inspire youth to become active leaders, innovators, and change makers, as well as entrepreneurs in Africa. We currently work in Sierra Leone. Actually, we started in Sierra Leone back in 2008. And then one of the co-founders moved to Kenya in 2013, and that's when I joined them as a volunteer. So we really believe in like young people's limitless potential, and we provide environments and access to programs that encourage youth to collaborate with one another, think critically to develop creative solutions to challenges they've identified in their communities. And also a big part of what we do is provide mentorship for all our young innovators and leaders that we work with. Okay, so if you can switch on to the next slide, Brendan. So one of the programs that we run, I know Wango gave a really good brief about the Innovation Lab program. So for today, we are focusing on the In Challenge program. And this is also known as Innovate Kenya, and it's an innovation contest for youth between the ages of 13 to 20. And this program offers an opportunity for young people to identify a problem in their community and think creatively on how they can solve it to get in a team. So one of the big parts is really working in a team to identify the problem and come up with a solution. And also one thing maybe I can share with this, especially for the ones who don't know about us, is for us Jimin, when we talk about innovation or innovative ideas, it means two things. It can mean what innovation is, like a new idea, something unheard of that's never existed before, or it can also mean using existing ideas or existing solutions to solve a problem. So that's basically like how we take innovation. And so like when you're thinking about applying for an idea, don't think you have to come up with something really unheard of. Do your research, ask questions about that problem, and think, see like existing solutions that exist and how you can modify it as well. Okay, so can go on to the next slide. Oh, this is the next slide. Go back a bit. Oh yeah, that's the next slide. Yeah. So yeah, over the years we've worked, we've been able to accomplish these achievements so far. So we've had over 1,500 young leaders and change makers go through our program. 80% of them have been accepted to university and gap year programs. Also, a number have been able to present their ideas and their projects, and conferences here in Kenya and also globally. Some of our other students have been able to take advantage of fellowships, and also our young leaders have been able to start enterprises, social enterprises that create employment and solves problems sustainably. And two of our alumni have been able to be awarded the Forbes Top 30 Under 30. And one of our students has also been able to patent his innovative idea. So this is basically a bit of the accomplishments we've achieved so far, but for us, it's really about just inspiring the young people to become innovative and problem solvers in their community. So, and it starts from just like the simple things of like asking yourselves like, hey, what problem do I see in my community and how can I solve it? Okay, we'll move on to the next slide. Okay, so I know everyone's a bit shy today, but hopefully we can warm up to each other. But I wonder how many people have heard of the Sustainable Development Goals? If they can maybe raise a hand or comment something about like, what do they think the Sustainable Development Goals are? Anyone can unmute themselves. When you hear the word Sustainable Development Goals or SDGs, what comes to your mind? Anyone? Hello, menyamaza ama
16 of us.
yeah, 16
I'm
of
wondering.
us. even some of our alumni are surprising me. I mean, anyone try? Okay, maybe I can ask this. Like, if you've heard of Sustainable Development Goals, or the future. Okay, I have a response. The future comes into mind. Okay, great. I like that, Emmanuel Mutai. Thank you for that. Maybe let's dig in a bit deeper. For the Sustainable Development Goals, what goals out of the 17 that you see here are you like interested in? Are you curious about? Have you been exploring? Maybe I can ask that way. And feel free to type something on the chat or raise your hand, unmute yourself. Like, let's be interactive. This session is actually for you guys. It's not for us. So the more like you participate, the more we can engage and provide you like with resources and opportunities for you to innovate and problem solve. So let's start being engaged. Anyone? I don't see any hand up. When you hear development goals or SDGs, what comes to your mind? You can even do a Google search and come up with the answer.
Yes, Google is here for you. And maybe if someone is speaking, remember to unmute yourself.
Okay, so yeah, we have Keith Bryan. Okay, these are the United Nations goals that her members wish to achieve by Vision 2030. Okay, so yeah, you've given a bit more context about like how the goals were, or which institution body came up with the goals. Yeah, and it was drafted by the United Nations, and with the member countries, which is almost like over 160 countries that contributed to crafting these goals. And most of the targets for these goals are supposed to be achieved by 2030. So thank you, Keith, for that. That's really great. Anyone else? One more person? Anything that you know about Sustainable Development Goals? Wow, okay. They were drafted in 2015. Okay, nice. Emmanuel, thank you. You guys know a lot. I don't know why you don't want to to participate by talking or by turning on your video so we can see your face and you share. Okay, they were drafted in 2015. Yeah, a bit more background and context. Okay, the last question I'm going to ask. Out of all these 17 goals, everyone can just be on the chat. Which goals like are interesting to you? Just type in on the chat because then I can read them. So which goals, like if you were to innovate something around, which ones strike you as one of the most urgent goals? I mean, all of them are urgent, but which ones for you seem like urgent? Okay, global health and well-being. Thank you, Bernice. So that's goal number, let me just go to that.
3.
Good health and well-being. Yeah, 3. Oh, Brenda, your sound went low again. I don't know. Can maybe fix that. Or maybe it's probably on my end, like I can just hear. What comes to my mind when I hear of the 17 SDGs is modern problems that require modern methods to solve, and various skills such as innovation and creativity for the well-being of our planet and ourselves. Thank you so much, Raquel Barasa. That sounds really wonderful. I wish I wasn't the one reading that. She could have been on mute and you shared that, but that's great. Thank you so much. Yeah. Oh yeah, Cindy Felix. Oh, there's some responses I missed. Okay, so Keith says life underwater and peace and justice. Nice, thank you, Keith. Cindy Felix says eradication of poverty and hunger to ensure a healthy life. Nice, that's goal number 1. Let me just hear from 2 more, but you can keep going on the chat to, so like we can know like what goals you're interested in as young people, because these goals are actually set out to transform our whole world. So it's also set to transform our community. So it will be good like if you can do more research and read on them, because they provide a great roadmap of how we can really transform our communities for the better. We have Emmanuel again. Thank you, Emmanuel, for participating. We have quality education, good health and well-being, and climate action. Nice, nice. Environment and pollution from Doreen. Okay, nice. Great, thank you. So at least on the sustainable development goals, I see like there's a bit of interest in learning about them. I would encourage you to go on the website, read about the goals, read about the targets, because as young innovators, problem solvers, and leaders, we can start like seeing how we can problem solve around like the targets for those goals. Okay, let me just read the rest of them. We have Bernice. Sustainable cities and communities, nice. And then Jimmy Paul says environment and pollution. Okay, great. So I'm seeing a lot of goal number 13. And then I saw number 3. Number 3 seems like a big one as well for everyone. Okay, nice. So you can switch on to the next slide, Renda. Okay, so for us as Jimin, we usually run the Innovation Challenge program during like the term and also in the holiday. So during the term, young people such as yourselves, you would have been applying. So we send out application forms. You would have been applying to the program, and then over the holidays when we select the teams that qualify for the camp. But due to the pandemic, there's a lot of shifts, there's a lot of changes, challenges, as well as opportunities. And for us, we wanted to really involve young people such as yourselves in this process of innovating, innovating and problem solving around this pandemic. So as we brainstormed as Jimin, we saw four issues that were really arising, 4 challenges that were really coming up, and we also tied them to the Sustainable Development Goals. So I'm going to ask a question again, because this is not just me talking, but it's everyone. But I'd like to understand, like, from where you are now in your community, and also what you see like that's happening in the country, globally. What are some of the goals, or not what some of the goals, what are some of the challenges, problems that people are experiencing now? Okay, can I repeat that question? Or if someone can type that for me. So I'm asking, like, during this pandemic, what are some of the challenges that you guys have seen, like in your community, in the country, and globally with the pandemic? It's not a trick question at all. Anyone would like to participate? You can type on the chat, or you can unmute yourself and talk as well. I'll start calling on volunteers now.
I think I'll start awarding people who participate, so that if you refuse to participate, I go home with all my awards.
Brenda, you're still, your sound is still low, but I think I got a bit of it. So she said like there will be an award for people who participate, especially the people who like can mute themselves and we can hear
Yes.
their voice.
People
Yeah.
who
Okay,
participate
so
in
Miriam,
speaking.
sorry, Brenda, you talking?
Yes, it seems I also have technical issues, but I said I'll be giving awards to people who will speak.
Yeah.
Speak out your ideas and share.
Yeah. Okay, so yeah, the question is there, Bernice. If no, who was lost? Miriam. Miriam, the question I'm asking is, what challenges have you seen in your community during the pandemic? And it can be in your community, it can be also nationally as a country, and also globally. What are some of the issues that are coming up? What are some of the challenges you as young people are facing during this time? So we really want to hear from you. So this would be really great if you can engage and participate. So I expect we're how many in the call? 17? We're 17. Teresia, thank you for raising your hand. Teresia, please share as people also go on the chat. You can unmute yourself and turn on your video.
Hello, Richie.
Hello.
Am I clear?
Yeah, you're clear.
Okay,
I can hear you.
so all of the chat.
Oh, your internet is getting lost. There's a connectivity issue. Hello, Teresia, are you still there? Okay, so Teresia, maybe you can type on the chat. But thank you so much for raising your hand to volunteer and share something. Ian, you can go ahead. You can unmute yourself and share. Oh, sorry.
Hello.
Hello, yeah. Teresia, sorry, it seems like the internet connection is not good on your end. So Ian, you can go ahead.
There's been an employment in various sectors, especially the tourism industry. Many people have lost their jobs because they are working in hotels, since most hotels have been closed, so they have no jobs now.
Right. Thank you so much, Ian. Yeah. Like even I just saw like a report. Is it a report or like a news article? I didn't get to read it, but almost 1.3 million people have lost jobs just in Kenya during this pandemic period. So it's it's a huge challenge. So thank you so much, Ian, for participating on that. Let me read some of the chats. I see access to quality education has been a major issue. Yes, yeah, definitely. I'll probe that question even more. I wonder how you're learning now, or like, what are you up to now to make sure that you're continually learning? Because school is just a space for us to learn together, but learning never stops. So I was wondering or probing, like, wonder what you guys are doing to learn. Doreen says loss of jobs, which leads to life crisis, example, committing suicide. Mental health has also been a big challenge during this time. Emmanuel says early pregnancies. That's also been a big one. Keith mentions the same thing, early teenage pregnancies and drug abuse. Max mentions about gender discrimination. Then Miriam, not everyone can access online education compared to urban life. Some students' future are at risk. Definitely true. So true. And that's also one of the challenges we are also trying to problem solve around, like how can we offer our programs to people who don't have internet access as well. Jimmy Paul, early pregnancies. Cindy, lack of jobs among the youth. And then Mary says fighting corruption in the country. Yeah. Wow. So nice. Great. Thank you for all. And I can please keep on like sharing on the chat. This is a way to understand like also like what challenges are in your community, what challenges you're facing, and as young innovators and leaders and problem solvers, like what are things like we can start doing? How can we start collaborating together to see like how we can probe these problems even more and challenges to understand what is the real issue under these challenges? For example, like with early teenage pregnancies, can we probe that question even more to understand like why is this happening at this point? I see another one, insecurity or drug abuse. No one knows who has contracted that disease. There's no trust. Yeah. So as innovators and leaders, like we listen to what's around our community, and also like we try and probe the questions even more to see like how we can problem solve. And with that, I think I'm done with my section, but I really appreciate all of you for participating through that. It's really great, and we can continue these conversations even more. But right now, I'd like to, before I switch to Brenda or whoever's coming up next, for this Innovation Challenge program, we're going to focus on those 4 goals that I had on the previous slide, which is good health and well-being, gender equality, clean water and sanitation, peace, justice, and strong institutions. And from what you guys have shared, some of those problems are tied into some of these goals that are listed out on the SDGs. And what I highly recommend is go to the UN website. I'll drop the link after this so you can probe even more. Like if you look at the targets, they mention specifically some of the challenges you have all shared. And it also lists out a platform, a roadmap of how like these problems and challenges can be solved, seeing which companies, organizations, individuals are working towards solving these problems. And as young leaders and innovators, I think that will be a great platform for you to start. And also, if you participated in our programs, this is also another avenue to really expand your problem solving around like the SDGs. Okay, so yeah, so thank you. I'll switch on to Brenda.
Thank you, Richie, for that incredible presentation. Now that we've started the COVID-19 conversation, I think we'll just carry on. If you feel like you need to stretch, you can take a minute, just stretch, breathe in, grab some water, and catch up with us. When some of you signed up for this focus group, and when you were signing up, we asked you a question on like how you think young people can positively contribute towards helping the community in overcoming COVID-19. And I would like to share some of the responses that we received. I think we got responses from over 30 youth aged between 13 and 20. And what you see on the screen is a summary of what most people were saying. So we had a lot about encouraging young people to observe the COVID-19 rules that the government has issued, educating your community, creating hand washing facilities, unity, fundraising to buy supplies for people. That I really, really love that. Staying home to flatten the curve, sharing ideas on how to flatten the curve. I heard about art. People are talking about music, doing poetry and painting, all that sort of stuff. Punishing lawbreakers, I found that very interesting. I'd want to hear from the if they want to punish lawbreakers. How can we do that? And then feeding the needy, learning new skills. As we continue to discuss, I would also want to hear what are some of the skills that you people have learned. How are you helping the elderly? Someone talked about inventing applicable solutions to the current problems. People talked about researching so that we can find the cure, then creating online communities and to share ideas to address the pandemic and climate change and SDGs. So it's interesting that someone was already thinking about the SDGs. And we had catching up on studies. I've had people talk about like not everyone can access online education. So, you know, someone thought we should just be revising and, you know, you have the textbooks and all. Then developing kitchen gardens to help grow food. Very, very interesting. So I think at this point, I'll stop sharing my screen. I hope you have an idea of what people were thinking about. So I just want us to have a conversation. And this is another session where I'd really love to hear from you guys. So if you are doing any of these things, it's now your chance to just share with us and your fellow young people so that we see like what you as an individual is doing in your community. So for example, that person who said like fundraising to help buy supplies, if any of you is doing any of that, like if you've participated in any online community activities or just your in physical community activities that is gearing towards curbing this COVID-19 or helping people during this time, I would really want to hear from you. So we have about, because I've spoken a lot, we have about 10 minutes left. So guys, remember I have awards for those active people who are willing to share with us their beautiful voices. So the floor is yours, guys. In any of those sectors I've mentioned, and even if it's outside of that, what do you think as a young person, like what have you been doing, like activities and all that are related to these things I've mentioned? Anyone?
Maybe, and also maybe you can think about, if these were just ideas like people were sharing of what can happen, start thinking about like how can we start implementing that ideas. We can have a discussion about that, like what resources might you need, what collaborations might you also want. So let me stop talking. Salome, please go ahead.
Okay, so for like the idea of cleanups, my friends and I, we come from different places, but then we are focused on curbing up the global warming effect, and that's when we came up with the idea of doing cleanups at our own different places, whereby like I gather my neighbors, we do a cleanup at a certain place, then take pictures and send, then we can discuss. We join like the ideas from the friends who live far away who have also done the same thing. Yeah, that should be it.
That's awesome. I wish I lived near you so that you can clean around my my neighborhood. And that's really wonderful to hear, and like really that you are already like communicating with fellow young people in different locations, so you don't have to be physically together to do it. So you've already scaled it. Yeah. Any other person who wants to share their story? Doesn't have to be big, just that one little thing that you're doing. It's very important to us that we know.
Yeah, you can also even just start by, I have this idea of doing this, and I need help maybe understanding how to do this. Okay.
Cindy, were you going to say something?
Yeah.
Okay, go ahead.
Okay, I also found the idea about punishing lawbreakers very interesting. Like the other day, okay, I'm sorry to mention this, we saw someone like Honorable Senator Sakaja. He was in a nightclub partying, and then out of a mere apology, he just got away with it. So imagine if everyone goes around partying at night, and then we just apologize and then we go home. COVID-19 is not going to clear that way. So I think the government has to really go tight on the rules. Anyone who is found violating the COVID-19 rules has to pay a very heavy price. Yeah, it's not going to be easy, but we just have to go that way. Like that especially Yoya Sakaja, I was really not happy about it. But anyway, I think that's my take.
Awesome. Thank you for sharing that influential message. I'm just curious, Cindy, if you are told now we have given you the authority to punish these people who are not following the rules, what would you do? For example, in that example you've just given, what would you suggest we do?
I would not have mercy on Kenyans. People would pay a lot of cash and stay for a very long time in jail. But the underlying thing is that people have to take the COVID-19 rules very seriously, whether we believe that COVID is there or not. So the government has to come up with serious rules that, make someone afraid of violating those rules and stay at home, sanitize and all that. But if I were to formulate some rules, Kenyans would be very.
Sorry about that. So I hear from Cindy, be very strict with people who don't want to follow the rules. I think in the city, I've seen a lot of people like adhering to the wearing masks whenever in public places like matachus, supermarkets. You are not allowed to get in, though the public transport, people are starting to relax, I must say, sorry to say. That's really, really a nice suggestion. Anyone else? Jacob, I'm not sure if you wanted to give your idea or you just unmuted by mistake. I can see Teresia and Brannis raising their hands with go. Teresia, go ahead. I hope your network is better now.
Yeah, am I clear?
Yes.
So mine is about creating public awareness. Like you see here in Mashinani, most people still believe that there's no COVID-19, mainly maybe because they've not heard of anyone whom they know who has contracted the disease. So if maybe the youth can emphasize on it, maybe create public awareness so that it can be clear and the public can also understand it, because maybe not everyone has the access to the internet and all that television, so they don't know about the data. Maybe people are still saying that the curve is reducing, but they are now starting to is it to back down, yeah, on the measures that public awareness will be able to reduce, to completely reduce the curve in terms of the spread of COVID-19. Yeah, thank you.
Awesome, thank you for that. I think it's very common, even in my rural town, Kakamega. I saw a lot of people relax. We can't get this virus thing. Now I'm just curious. For Teresia, I'd pose another question to you. If you are now given an opportunity as youth in Nakuru, and you are told, we want you to create a plan that will help us create awareness. And remember, this is Ushago, like it's rural. What will you ensure that people get it, like, so that they actually accept Corona is here?
Yeah, so like you see, there's some people who do sales and marketing, and you find that they travel to each homestead advertising the items that they're selling. So in this case, many people will be able to know what is being sold. So in terms of COVID-19, if we can have the youth to organize themselves and then maybe take the initiative to visit homesteads, that way, if they visit each homestead and maybe explain in terms of COVID-19, explain that indeed this pandemic is here with us. These are the measures, these are the protective measures that you have to do, and these are the effects of COVID-19. Complete understanding of this pandemic. So if we visit every homestead or maybe a community, like let's say, since the churches have resumed, you can say people can create a program, give the youth a chance to explain to the elderly. Mostly you find that in the rural areas, mostly are the elderly people, and you find that they do not have the access to the technology and all that. So if you personally explain it to them, then it will be easier for them to understand, because they hear from everyone saying that there's corona, other people are saying that there's no corona, we've not heard of it, we've not seen anyone who has it. So if we emphasize on homestays, at least maybe that will help. Yeah.
Awesome. I love that idea. And there's a church near my place. I always hear them singing. And I think when they put time restrictions now, they just go to church every day. So even creating, innovative ways of making sure you have more hours of worship and not exceeding the time limits that the government has given. And that idea of like youth organizing themselves, actually going door to door, and even translate this information into a language that your local people understand. Even though myself, I don't know what pandemic is in my language. I don't know if it exists, but just thinking around, like, how do you talk to people in rural areas to help them understand, even if someone contracts the virus, what do they do? Things like that. We'll go to Brannis and maybe one more person before we move on. So Brannis, you can unmute yourself and go ahead.
Okay, so hi everyone.
For me, I think it will be on the disposal of masks, because in our area, you find that you're just walking and masks are being thrown at the roadside, and like it's such a bad scene to see, because you never know who has the virus, and maybe that mask which has been thrown is contaminated, and it's just it makes you fear, cause like hizi mask zote zimetupwa tupwa tu huko nje nje, and you're even wondering sasa hawa tutasaidiaje, cause if we properly dispose them, for me I think that it would also help limit the spread of the virus. So for me it will be in matters disposal of masks. Yeah.
Awesome. So just think around how would you enable your community to dispose of masks better? Are we setting up bins? Are we going to their houses and telling them put your used masks here? And I myself, I use a lot of the washable, like reusable masks, the one that you can wash, dry, and reuse. So how do I make sure that I'm cleaning it correctly? Things like that. So just think around these ideas and what we can do to help our community. Teresia, or not Teresia, sorry, we have in the chat Miriam, who says, sometimes the government should be careful in terms of results of the test because it hurts. If, example, you have a certain symptom similar to those of COVID-19, it can be mistaken for it, and someone has paid a lot, maybe 1,000 and above for nothing. So, so maybe my understanding is it's like, don't do just test for anyone because they have one of the symptoms. That was my understanding. Aaron, you're raising your hand. You can go ahead. Aaron, you're raising your hand. You're muted if you're speaking. You can unmute yourself and go ahead. Or if you raised the hand by mistake, anyone else who wants to share what they're doing or what they want to do in their community? Okay, if there's no more sharing, I think we'll move to the next session, which is also just another conversation. And I don't want to be the one talking so much. So this now we've talked about like things we can do as young people. We've talked about like how we're encouraging people to look into the 4 SDGs. But do you think there's other SDGs that have been affected by COVID-19 that you really maybe should have been included in the application, like among the 4? So if you think like there's another SDG that we should ask questions around, like get applications around, you are free to just speak about it and justify like why do you think it should be included, especially if you see that it has really been affected by COVID. And then another thing would be, now as young people, you've seen like there's a lot of ideas that you have that you're trying to do in your community, but maybe you're facing some challenges that are hindering you from achieving this goal. So we'd want to hear what are those challenges. And for example, during this time when we do like online educational activities, we've had people say we don't have data bundles. We want someone to send us some data so that we'll be able to connect online. That way someone continues to learn. But besides similar challenges, we'd want to hear from that, so that when we're thinking about programs for young people, we have in mind that these are the challenges that our young people have. So you can give an example of maybe something you were trying to do and you faced a challenge and you couldn't complete it. And again, this will be just you guys talking and me taking notes and noting down who I will be awarding. So feel free to voice your ideas. This is a safe space for all of you. And by the everyone on this call is very young, except the staff members. Wango, Rich, and I are the only old people here. You guys are all young and feel free to interact.
I am young.
Okay, you guys are way younger. Wango is young. You guys are way younger than her. So I'd want to hear, you never know, by the way, maybe a challenge you'll mention here, we know someone who can help you overcome that challenge. So just go ahead, share, like, what are the challenges you're experiencing, and think about, like, local kabisa, even in your household, even with your neighbors, things like simple things that you might not know they're challenges, but they're actually challenges. So don't be afraid to mention anything. We just want to hear from the youth themselves, like from the young people themselves.
And also, I asked a similar question before, so you can expound more if you provided a response earlier. Yeah. So you can explain more in depth.
And even you can think about, like, for the guys who already spoke earlier, they gave some really nice ideas, and you can even address some of the challenges you think they might face. For example, on Teresia's idea of going door to door, what do you think would prevent them from achieving that? Like, I think one challenge I mentioned was that language barrier. How do you explain to an 80-year-old Shosho that there's a pandemic, that there's COVID-19, that it's a virus and it will affect them this way? How do you convince them not to, from where I come from, greetings are very important, and you will not visit someone and fail to greet them. So how do you explain to your shosho that I cannot greet you because my hand might be contaminated? So challenges like those, like really practical challenges that are preventing you from implementing some of the ideas that you have. Anyone?
Yes.
Okay, go ahead. Keith, go ahead.
Okay, so as for my part, the challenge that I'm currently facing is that I lack parental support. I'm sorry to say this, but my parents do take that my journey innovation is like a waste of time, that I should embark more in books and be serious. But that's the major challenge that I face. And another one is on funds. To maybe we have got a lot of projects, our team members, we've got a lot of projects that we want to implement, but when it comes to funds, we are really doomed. Maxwell can attest to this. Thank you.
Thank you for sharing that. I'm wondering if anyone else on the call has a similar challenge, like your parent doesn't believe, like, this innovation journey of yours, you're wasting time. And if anyone has been able to overcome that challenge, it would be nice to hear, like, how do you convince your parent to support your innovation journey, to support you as a problem solver? Doreen, you're raising your hand. I don't know if it's a challenge you're sharing or answering my question. Just go ahead.
Yeah, it's a challenge. It's a similar challenge to Keith Bryant's, because they normally tell me, like, this innovation of yours, it was since April, yeah, but whatever I do, the thing that I do is I bribe them by telling them that there's a big prize for this thing. So, and it will bring a fortune maybe. So you should not be harsh on me on this thing, because it's something that it will be good and it will bring something good in my future. Yeah.
Okay, Brannis, I don't know if you want to speak on the same. Go ahead.
Okay, so for me, I also experienced the same problem. You know, the way you're like, mom, I'd like to do this, and they're like, where soma? Wacha kujisumbua na vitu za watu wakubwa. So, and then, for me, I'd say that getting to even indulge in some activities, it's actually like getting support from my older siblings. Hao ndo wananiteteanga, because otherwise I would not have been doing some of the things I do. And especially African parents, they're like, hizo ni vitu za country za wazungu, this is Africa, you have to study. So I think the parents, they're one of the biggest stumbling blocks you can face in your journey in innovation.
Okay, this is a very interesting conversation. I'm wondering
Yeah.
if anyone else who has.
They can raise their hands. Salome, they can raise their hand if you're facing some. But Salome also
Um,
has something to share.
I'd like to say something. I also agree with them. Like our culture has taught our parents to focus more on books rather than doing what you'd like to do or what you love to do, which I think that's what the new CBC curriculum is doing. But the current one, it's mostly books, 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 because you have to get an A if you want to go abroad, if you want to get a good job, if you want to do a good course, engineering, medicine, those kind of things. So your parents will see as though you're spending so much time doing this and you're spending less time on your books, which increases your chances of failure. Then there's poverty, the government is stealing money, you don't want to end up being broke. So there's so many factors they're considering. So to some extent it's good, but to some extent it's also not as good.
We'll have a final word from Salome.
Okay, so I would also say that's a major problem because, like, basically, let's say you're doing a project that requires some materials, then you might ask them for like money to purchase them. Then they'll be like, "How does that add up to your KCSE score? How does that enable you to get an A or something of the sort?" So, like, you'll end up cutting short your project due to that because you won't have the money to purchase the materials. Sometimes you might fail to have a laptop if you're coding, and that without their support, like basically you can't be able to do anything. Yeah.
Awesome. Thank you for sharing. Miriam says most of our parents are not working now. Some are hustling instead of us being the one to help them out. But how can we? Because now we have to be wise and use little cash wisely. So it's just interesting that a lot, no one has mentioned any other challenges. Now we're really focusing on this issue of how do we get our parents to understand that this is an important part of our journey as change makers, and like Brani said, like you believe this will be helpful to your future. So how do you convince your parent that they need to support you in the journey of innovation? Richie, it feels like you want to say something before I continue. I'm seeing an opportunity of doing awareness for parents.
Yeah, I think yeah, especially around like that parental support or just like this support in general, like with innovation, problem solving journey. Yeah, sorry, like you have to go through that. It's unfortunate. But maybe one way and this is just a guess, but I would love to like have another discussion just focused on this. Like, how can we get parents or your community to support you in this innovation journey? One way is for them to really understand like this is also part of learning. I mean, yeah, there's no test, there's no KCSE at the end of like our camps or like the programs we do, but it is part of learning. So I think with whatever like the problems you're trying to solve, whatever ideas or solutions you come up with, you can share like, hey, I'm using physics, or I'm using chemistry, I'm using biology, I'm using agriculture to solve these problems. So I'm learning more about physics, I'm learning more about math. So it's a bit more about like trying to shift the mindset of your parents for them to understand like you're not doing anything outside learning. You're not doing something like this that destructive. You're actually digging deeper into learning. As one person said, like you're actually doing stuff like grown-ups do. Yeah, because as you grow older, you specialize in something and you go much deeper in maybe studying chemistry, studying bio. So maybe one way is like trying to shift the mindset of your parents to say, well, whatever I'm actually doing, it's I'm applying the lessons I've learned in my classes or subjects. The other way you can do this is prepare a presentation for them. Share, for example, like if you've been part of like the Jimin programs, share like what skills you're gaining. Share like the opportunities that that it has opened up to you. And also, I remember for this presentation, we wanted to add on something else about like additional opportunities. So these include like universities or other programs you can start engaging in during this time. So there's one called African Leadership University, which is a university basically for young innovators and leaders in Africa. And they're in Rwanda and Mauritius. And they offer like really great a really great environment for learning about innovation in a university. So even just mentioning to your parents, like, hey, the university is coming up that want students like me, students who are interested in innovation, students who are interested in problem solving. And ALU also offers great scholarships as well. And what else did I want? Oh yeah, on the part about like funds to maybe implement your ideas and project. I think I talked to one of the alumni a while back. With the stage you're in now, like in the idea generation or thinking up of ideas to solve, it's hard for anyone to come and give you money for an idea. That's just think of it that way. It's usually unheard of, and unless you can present your idea in a really well thought out manner. So one thing I can say, like, practice on your communication about how you share your idea. Okay, because at this point, no one will give you money for just an idea. They want to see, like, okay, with the idea, what have you done on your part? What investment have you done? So is it time? What have you spent your time on your idea? What are you learning? Okay, so share your learnings, document, journal, because those ways will give you like a much stronger way of pitching your idea, which is one thing we teach during our camps, like how to pitch your idea. I had something else, but I just forgot. So let me just leave those two to sit in with you if you have any other further questions. But yeah, thank you all for sharing those challenges.
Okay, Richie, when you remember that one thing, you can always text us and we'll share with the people in our groups. Emmanuel says there is also a challenge with balancing schoolwork and entrepreneurship and innovation. It's kind of getting though. I think maybe you meant tough. And I do agree. And this is also tied into, the previous challenge that we've been discussing, like with parents and, them wanting you to do better in class, to focus on your book. So if you maybe they have a specific expectation in terms of grades and all, so they assume whatever innovative activities and entrepreneurial activities you are partaking is what is affecting your grades. So I think even just taking that responsibility of, make that effort, balance your schoolwork and entrepreneurship activities to make sure you're not getting all E's and then you want to go invent something and future ideas. I think it's just good to balance, but always understanding that in the future work environment will no longer be hiring based on grades. As we see, it's about the skills. And Richie had a really nice idea, like show your parents the skill you're gaining, even if some of these skills can help their work or can help you around the house. Because imagine if your parent told you to help with some chores and you go hide in your room building your Arduino project the entire day. If I were that parent, I'll get angry. Even if it's my roommate or my child, I feel like, why are you just sticking to your wires and all? So also try to empathize with your parents and understand. Parents always have that assumption that they're the ones who know, like, what's best for you. So I do agree, we definitely will have another conversation on this. Before I continue, Teresia, you had your hand up for a long time. If you have something to say, go ahead.
Yeah. Okay, mine is not about the issue about the parents. Mine is about the behavior. You find that in the past, people had the behavior of, or a habit of greeting each other, hugging. So after the pandemic, you see, one of the protective measures is to avoid greeting each other. So you find that when you're walking and maybe you meet with someone whom you know, and maybe it's an elderly person, then you want to fold your hands. Already they have already stretched their hands. So there's no way that you can avoid their hands and and tell them that we're not supposed to be greeting each other, and the person is elderly. So you find it a little bit awkward. So you just have to greet the person because already they had stretched their hands. So you find that it's bringing us, it's taking us a step backwards in terms of now control. Yeah, that's all.
Yeah, that's a really, really nice, something that seems so innocent or so, basic, but it's actually big, because imagine that one handshake, and sometimes it might be you who is infecting the elderly person. You're actually risking their lives more, and they don't understand it. So this is actually a challenge of maybe like cultural norms that we follow, or we adhere to. So I really think like that's a very relevant challenge. Miriam says, my big question goes to university students, mostly those in fourth year. Once they're done, what jobs will be there and how many will be required, since now majority of employees are losing their jobs? How about those from third year who are coming through? So this is, a challenge of unemployment. So many people are graduating, so many people are losing jobs, like companies laying off people, and you're graduating expecting to get employment. And also, how can we create more jobs for people? How can you ensure that when you're in university you're gaining skills that will help you stand out so that you get jobs? And now, even because of the connectivity to the internet, we have like remote working. How do you prepare yourself to work maybe for a company in Canada and you're in Kenya, things like that? So you need to be aware of how, like, where do we look for jobs? What kind of jobs can we do as graduates? So that's a really nice idea. Anyone else wants to share their challenge? And even if you have like a suggestion of a solution, you can feel free to share. And maybe also just feel free to type into the chat, because I see we are running out of time. I want us to go to the next session. So if you have any questions, or suggestion, type them in the chat and we'll follow up. So I'll share my screen again for the final part. Some of you are our alumni, so you already know a lot about Jimin. For those people who have not been in our programs, I know Richie did a nice introduction in the beginning, but here are some of the questions that people asked, and we'll take turns to answer them. Because I've talked too much, I think I'll take Aaron, you can go with the first three, then I'll do the next three, then Richie, you'll finish off with the final three. So Aaron, you can answer, how can one get employment in the STEM field if Jimin offers programs in other countries besides Sierra Leone, and what does Jimin deal with majorly? Aaron, Ms. Aaron.
Thank you, Brenda. So I can begin with the first one. STEM is basically science, technology, engineering, arts.
I think we lost Aaron. I can't hear him anymore.
Okay, you can hear me now?
Yes.
Okay, so I was saying STEM is basically the combination of STEM subjects with arts. So it's come with science, technology, engineering, arts, and mathematics. So when you want to get into employment in these areas, you have to focus on the three sciences like mathematics, biology, physics, and chemistry, and also include the art subject. So in arts, we have like arts and the humanities, whereby we can talk of business, history, geography, Greeks. So when you want to get into employment, having focused on those subjects, you can now, for your university education, you focus your course you will be going to take on those areas. And then about the programs, if it is offered in other countries, currently it is offered in Kenya and Sierra Leone, but initially we used to have Innovate South Africa up from 2013 to 2015. So from 2015, Innovate South Africa became an entity of its own. the next question would be, what does Jimin deals with majorly? So currently we deal with two programs, that is Innovate in Challenge program and in Lab program. So for the in Challenge is whereby is a national competitive innovation competition or challenge for youth age like 13 to 20, whereby we encourage them to submit their innovative ideas, and then from there we now take them through our camps, our boot camp, whereby we refine those ideas into tangible projects. And for the in-lab program, we have partnered with low resource schools, whereby we give mentorship apart from the STEM subjects, which or the classwork. We now come in to add more skills to the student apart from those, by giving them unskills experiences. Yes, thank you.
Thank you, Aaron, for the explanation. I hope whoever asked those questions and now have a better understanding. And I know Richie already did like an introduction of Jimin. I'll answer, what kind of support does Jimin offer to youth? How can interested youth participate? And will Jimin provide data bundles? I'll start with the data bundles question. When I sent out invitations to your emails, I did mention if someone needed data bundles to be able to join this call, and I did send those people who requested for data, I sent them data, like airtime to buy data. So occasionally we do provide data bundles for young people when we invite them to participate in our activities. And even if you are participating in any of our online programs, like if we have an active online programs, we do provide bundles for people to be able to connect. How can interested youth participate? Usually we have applications for people who are interested in participating in any program that we have that's ongoing. Currently we have our In Challenge program that is focusing on getting solutions around the 4 SDGs. And how you participate is by submitting an application, and then our panel of judges will go through the application and decide whether you qualify to be invited to our innovation bootcamp, which will also be virtual. And for any other activities or programs, we usually advertise on our social media pages. So be sure to check them out. Like on Facebook, we are Innovate Kenya and Innovate Kenya Community. And we have Instagram, global, Wango, I think you'll share that information, global minimum, _. And then on Twitter, we are at Innovate Kenya and at global minimum. What kind of support does Jimin offer to youth? When you participate in the programs, depending on which program it is, you are given support in terms of mentorship. So for example, for the In Challenge, when you come in, you're given technical mentorship, you are given funds to help you prototype, you are given networks to our Jimin family. So an example is for those people who are trying to fundraise, we help you like identify organizations that can fund you or organizations that can incubate you, things like that. So the support is just, it's something that is just continuous, and it always depends on your needs and what kind of solution you're working on. I think I'll invite Richie to answer the final 3 questions before we move on.
Yeah. Before I go to the last 3 questions I'm supposed to answer, I can share a bit about like the first question about how can one get employment in the STEAM field. This also kind of like relates to the question I think someone had about like, yeah, with the 4th years and 3rd years, like they've gone through the whole 844 system, and now jobs are being cut. There are no, basically it seems like employment opportunities are reducing. It's really unfortunate, and it's a conversation that's happening on a national level with government to see like how employment opportunities can be generated. But one thing, when I saw that question, I was like, as a young person, you can start really thinking about how you can use what you're learning to solve problems. Okay, and just keep having that question at the back of your mind, like when you're learning maybe a new theory, you're learning some new concepts in the subjects. Think about like, hey, how can this solve problems? And I like how it's someone asked like about the STEAM field. So it's not just STEM, but it's STEAM, combining like the arts and humanities, as Aaron mentioned. See how like they can interlink. See, don't just view like physics just by itself. See how physics and history can interlink together. See how physics, agriculture can work together to solve problems. So that's one of the things you can start thinking about, and just get involved like in these innovation, in these clubs that really encourage you to be leaders. So like in university, I know there's a organization called ISEC, which usually offers opportunities for you to practice your leadership skills. So there are opportunities outside the curriculum and outside the structured like classes of 8 to 5. Okay, so I'll go on to my questions. So how can we be involved in programs you're carrying out during this COVID-19 period? As Brenda mentioned, and I think it's on the chat as well, one of the best ways to keep in touch with us is through our social media pages. And we usually offer like most of the opportunities that we are currently running, or the programs that we're currently running. One way you can get word about it or understand what we're doing is through our social media pages. We also have various WhatsApp groups, and we'll think about like creating like a WhatsApp group or a Telegram group where anyone who's interested in innovation and problem solving can join in, so that we can have a lot more people joining in. But just check out our website, our social media pages. That's how you can get involved in our programs. And all our programs, there's an application process to it. Okay, so there's usually an application form either online, or if you're interested, just you can drop the email as well, apply@jimin.org. You can reach out to us through that email as well if you need an application form sent to you. And then, do you have online programs for leadership and mentorship? Yes, so the In-Challenge program is also structured as a leadership mentorship program. So usually the finalists that are selected get access to mentors who will walk and guide them through their projects and ideas. And also you get workshops on how you can be a better leader, okay? The last one is, how long does the program last? What are the benefits? So for the In-Challenge program, it lasts, like I say, around 4 months. It's in 3 phases. That application phase, which we are currently on. We just launched the application last week. I think Brenda will also share a bit more about that. The application will go until October 15th. That's the deadline. And then we have a judging phase. Then we select the finalists, and we'll invite the finalists for a camp towards the end of November. So it's 3 phases, and it lasts around 4 months. And what are the benefits of the program? That's a good question, and I think I'll actually invite some of our finalists who've been to our programs to share that on chat. But just really quickly, once you get accepted into our programs, you get like mentorship, as I mentioned before. You'll get a bit of project funding to help you like buy either materials or things you need to prototype. Remember, prototype, not build like the actual project. And then, yeah, there's access to like workshops on problem solving. So you learn a concept called design thinking, which is a way of problem solving. You also get we also invite like special guests to talk to you about entrepreneurship. You also learn about how to build a business, or the things to think about to make your idea go to the next level, and especially if you're pursuing like your idea to be an enterprise. And also so we usually, at the end of the program, of the camp, the innovation camp, we have a showcase event where all the finalists get an award, and the awards, they range from getting a scholarship to take an online class, get the field trip. We also provide other toolkits that you can use to prototype as well. So it varies depending on the team and depending on the interests they are. The other thing we do is write recommendation letters. So if you want to attend a conference, maybe on environmental change, we can write a recommendation for you. We also share those opportunities in our groups. If you're interested in applying to university, as I mentioned, African Leadership University, if you're interested in that, we have students who've gone there, so we can write a recommendation letter for you. And what else do we offer? And those are the few things that came up to my head. But the finalists, I would actually like people like Salome, Teresia. You can also share on the chat group like what you guys have gained, so that other ones can know as well. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Richie. For the finalists, if you want to type into the chat some of the benefits you got by participating, go ahead and type. If you want to speak, just raise your hand and I'll give you a minute. Otherwise, I'll go to the next session. This final part, I'm sorry, we are going to go a bit late, maybe 10 minutes. I hope I won't go beyond 10 minutes. I try to keep time. So this final section is just for those who have not participated in the program before. If you want to participate, how do you proceed? How do you get to apply to InChallenge? And you can even share this information with your friends and family and any young person out there. You can share to your social media to ensure that we reach out to as many young people as possible. So first, let me share the link in the chat. This is the link to the current active application that we have for the InChallenge program. So you can click on it and it will open in your browser, and you'll be able to submit the Google form. It's simple, so you can even do the application on your phone if you don't have a laptop, as long as you have internet connectivity. But this is how you get to participate. You click on the link, it will take you to the application form. If you are unable to complete it online, there's a link on that application that will take you to our website where you can download a PDF, print it, and then fill it at home. And then once you complete, you can scan it or just take nice visible photos and then send it to the official email for applications, which is apply@jimin.org. You can write that down. If you ever have questions about your application, you can always email us on that email. Then a bit information about the application form. It's divided into 7 sections. And the first section is about Innovate Kenya. So for people who have not participated before and they don't know about Jimin, we give like a brief explanation of what the program is, and also about your like the details of your team, like the name of your project, who are the team members, and simple information about the project and the idea. The next section is now the contact information, and this is very important. I've highlighted that contact information because one thing we do is give feedback to all our applicants. So if you didn't make it to the finalist stage and attend the innovation bootcamp, we do send you feedback on what you can improve, because we believe you can make your idea better or use that feedback to come up with another creative solution. So we encourage you to put like an email address, correct phone number, so that we can reach you. The third section is now your idea details, like in which SDG does it lie, and if it's addressing any particular sector. Then the fourth section is now talking about how did you identify this problem, and the empathy part is where you're trying to understand like the community for which you're trying to solve a problem. So did you talk to people? Have you experienced that problem yourself? And things like that. And in each section, there are questions that guide you. And then in section 5, we have the ideation. This is where now we are trying to understand what solutions you're proposing. Do you understand how you will achieve those solutions? Then the interesting section, when you're talking about money, the budgeting section, section 6, where you are asked to give like a detailed budget that will help you purchase materials to prototype. And remember, we focus on the prototype, so don't think about like the final, if it's a gadget, like the final expensive gadget. Just think of simple things that can help you, help people understand the idea that you're trying to create, the solution that you're trying to create. So this is a version, like the first version of your your solution. And then the final section is on additional documents. If you have like pictures or videos or additional information that supports your application, you can upload them or send them to our apply@jimin.org email, so that when we are judging your application, we have this extra material to support it. I see some people in some chats. Okay, I think these are alumni. I'll read that in a minute. But this is the entire application. It's a bit long, but the questions are really simple. So we encourage you just to gather your team, and you have to be 2 people or more. And this time, because we're doing a virtual innovation camp, we are allowing up to 6 people on a team. So share with your friends that link. Always, you can reach out to us via the social media if you need any help, and also via our office phone. Rich, you can help me type into the chat the office number for those people who don't have it, but I think it's also on the application form. Thank you so much. I think I'll read from our alumni before we wind up. A wide understanding, so the benefits of the program, a wide understanding on various aspects, like how to develop an idea further to something that can work effectively, how to get benefits from what you are working on, and also get access to other platforms which can support you to develop it further. Thank you, Teresia. Kate says, having attended Jimin sessions, this acted as an eye-opener to opportunities around me. I gained also skills necessary for the 21st century, like teamwork, collaboration, integrity, etc. Only to mention a few. I learned a lot, and what I can say, I'm a proud alumni of Jimin. Thank you so much, Kate. And Kate also wrote a blog that we posted on our website. So I can share the link. I think I have it here. I can share the link so that you can read and see what our alumni are doing, and you can even get ideas of other things you can do beyond Jimin. At this point, we have 3 minutes left to my 10-minute extension. So if you have any other question that you want to ask, you can ask now. Anyone, if you have any questions.
Actually, mine's not. I'm gonna interrupt a bit, but just on the last point, especially like with alumni or the people who've been engaging with our programs, the Innovation Lab, in Challenge. At this point, when we launch the application, we usually like visit schools, we visit youth community centers to spread the word out. During the pandemic, we can't do that. We're stuck in our houses, share with other people, and that's how like the innovation community has grown for us. Like we're just sharing opportunities, even in our WhatsApp group. It's usually just about sharing opportunities. You never know who will benefit from it. So with the application link, and also like our phone, even like the youth groups or your neighborhood, just explain to them like what the program is about. Share like, oh, this is what I benefited, and this is, I think, also a great opportunity for you to learn about problem solving. So if any of our alumni, like if you can get 3 teams to apply who really do a good, that's how you can give it back to Jimin. Okay, that's a way of you giving back to Jimin. So if you can get like 3, even if you can get more, that's great. But just share the opportunity with other people, so they can with other young people, so they can also be part of like innovating and problem solving. So that's my request on behalf of Jimin for you all.
Thank you, Richie. Is there any question? You can type in the chat. I've posted the link to Keith Brand's blog post. You can click on it and read it after this. My final, I promised some people awards, right? Nani anadhani they deserve an award? If you think you deserve an award, just raise your hand and I'll tell you if you are correct or unanichezea. If you think I owe you an award, Miriam,
Yes.
Wes, Branis, Doreen, okay, Kate Bran, anyone else? Cindy, unajinyima award and you are first on my list actually. Yeah,
Okay.
all right. So I think my award will be airtime. I'll be sending each one of you airtime worth 50 bob so that you can call your friends and buy bundles to tell them about, in challenge that we are active, we are receiving applications, and we're really looking forward to the innovation bootcamp. And for our alumni, even for the people who maybe you apply and don't make it, we'll be sharing on our social media when we launch the camp. So feel free to request to join some of the sessions and just be part of the family. I think that's it. After this call, just expect the messages, the airtime from me. Sawa. So my list is, I have Teresia, Ian, Salome, Cindy, Branis, Keith, Brian, and Marceline, Miriam. If I've left you out, just reach out to me. You can text me and say, hey Brenda, you left me out. And my number, I'll type my number here. Oh, you can just type use the office number because I have it. Okay, thank you so much. Do we have any final words, any parting shots? Wango or Richie?
Yeah, I'll just say thank you all so much for taking your time to be on this call. I know like it's a tough period for everyone, but just getting to interact with you all, engage with you all is really meaningful for us. So we don't take it for granted. So yeah, just to say thank you, and we would love to do more of this. So in the chat, if you can just say like, oh, we want to learn more about like careers in STEM or careers in STEAM, you can put it and we can see like how we can organize for another 1 hour call. It won't be 1.5 hours. It'll be shorter. Or if there are any topics, things you're interested in, how do I get funding for my idea? Like topics such as those, we can host them. We can share information, share resources. So like on the chat, just list out like topics or issues you would like to explore more with the Jimin team. Okay, but on behalf of Jimin, I want to say thank you, and if you can just be like our champions and ambassadors and share the application form, so like more young people are engaged in problem solving and innovating. So, thank you.
Thank you, Richie. I see, Lihan, you say, sorry for being late. We'll definitely share the link we've recorded this session and we'll share the link to our groups. And if you're not in our groups, in our social media pages, and you'll be able to see the entire session. Miriam says, thank you. Doreen says, thanks. Aaron, thank you all for joining us. Judy, thanks for today. Raquel, thank you for the meeting. And Cindy, you texted me your number. I think I already have it from the sign up, but thank you. That's what I'll use to send the airtime. Thank you so much. Cindy says, amazing job, Jimin. Thank you for that. Thank you so much. You've made my afternoon. I always look forward to talking to you young people, and you always challenge me to also think of these, solutions and what I'm doing in my community. So thank you all for joining us. I really appreciate. And have yourself a good evening. Okay.
Same.